I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here with Rosemary Robertson Bredeson to talk about her article in the November-December issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. Rosemary, welcome. Thanks for being with me.
It's good to see you and to be here with everyone.
Before we dive into your article and talk about that, what do you want our viewers to know about you?
Well, the first thing is that I am the scientific mystic and that my background is science and math. I worked on the Hubble Space Telescope for a long time, and then I transitioned to become a spiritual mentor and a medium and use my intuitive skills as well as all of the counseling tools I've studied. Uh, and that's what I do, is to help people figure out what they need to live the life they desire. And we get over the blocks, and I use human design to help find the purpose and how to be an entrepreneur and all of those tools. So I'm really here to help people and to serve in whatever way I can. That's the fun part.
That's really the fun part. Well, a lot of the articles I use in the magazine, I mean, some people write specifically for the magazine, and then other times I'll get a newsletter or a link to a blog, and I'll read it and go, I think that would be a great fit for this next issue. And that happened with you. You wrote an article on Be the Lighthouse, and it was so timely, more timely than we could have even known at the time that you probably wrote it, right? And you said that you downloaded this message from your guides. So why this message at this time?
I think it's because everyone's looking outside and taking in what's going on outside. And it felt like it was really important for us to come back home inside us. And, people they ask about their purpose, or they aren't sure what they're supposed to do. And the lighthouse image came up as, the lighthouse isn't worried about what's going on outside. The lighthouse is just being. And in that the advice, I think, to just be who you are and shine your light out into the world. You're not responsible for what happens after that. You're just responsible to shine your light. And I call that inner light the inner splendor that is inside everyone. And so to be able to say, look, there's stuff going on outside, but your focus needs to be to shine your light, whatever that means. Get your gifts out into the world in service to the world. And the lighthouse was, I think it was the perfect time to say, shine your light, shine your light. The world needs your light.
Yeah. I've read something one time that said something like, I'm going to paraphrase here, lighthouses don't run around the island looking for someone to rescue. They just stand here and they put out their light, and the people who need them will find them.
Exactly. And I think that's why that image worked so well for this time.
Mhm.
And especially because people tend to get fearful and then they hide their light and they retreat and isolate. And fear is not what we need to be in. We need to be shining our light.
Energy of fear solves nothing, elevates
We don't
nothing.
make good decisions from the energy of fear,
Very true. Very
because we
true.
go into tunnel vision.
Well, you write, I love this so much. Each soul on earth at this time is at a choice point. The decision is, will I be a person of the light, or will I allow fear to keep me in the dark? It's a simple choice. I just want to say that I hear the assignment and I understand the assignment, and it's challenging, isn't it? How might we humans act as a lighthouse? What is our job?
Well, I think the people are talking about division and divisiveness. And I like to think more about choice. So we're always at choice. In every moment, we're at choice. And so it's really, you don't have to do a grand thing. If you think about in this moment, how can I bring in more light to the world? How can I use language that speaks to the light, that brings in positive energy, that's encouraging, that's supportive? And when we are in fear, it's like, to counteract that, it's like, well, what am I fearful of? Whose fear is this? And I really am solid, like in the moment. Oh, I have a roof over my head. Okay, I'm not going hungry. all right, I can solidify here. And then what does it mean? Maybe sometimes we feel like our light isn't very bright, but we can still shine it if we focus on it instead of focusing on the fear, focusing on becoming, a part of that darkness. And I think that being at choice, we're choosing what kind of life we're going to live, what frequency we're going to put out into the world, who we're going to associate with. And I think that that's the choice point that we are right now. Everybody has to choose whether or not they're going to stay in the high vibration that is higher consciousness or evolutionary or represents personal growth, however you want to language that.
I've seen some people posting some things on social media, and in fact, I saw someone jump on someone else. I knew both of them because she was talking about can't we all just get along, blah blah blah. And this woman was just saying, no, I can't, blah, and doing all this stuff. And I was thinking that there might be confusion sometimes with people about shining your light does not mean that you put your head in the sand and don't know what's going on in the world, right? Can you talk more to that?
Yeah, I think, excuse me, I think that when we're shining our light, we're focused on how can I serve?
Mhm.
So we're focused on bringing our light out as our gifts, and our gifts are here for us to share. When we get into trying to hide ourselves and trying to ignore, I know the la 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 la, it's really bad. I don't want to hear it. That doesn't give us the information we need to know about shining our light.
Mm.
So it's not sending the light somewhere, because light is just energy, and it can be used by, for nefarious means or for light workers or whatever. But it does mean being the light. And so it's, who am I being? If I'm going to be in fear, if I'm going to be in anger, hatred, any of those energies that are shooting darts, if you will, then I'm not just shining. And so I think that that's where we can get into know what's going on, but don't get caught up in it as if it's defining you. And we're being called right now to evolve. I think that's the big clarion call that we're all hearing. What does it mean to evolve? Evolve our consciousness, get up to our higher vibrational frequency, shine our light. And that's going to cause, the way I see it is, that's going to cause us to be moving into the new heaven, the new human, like the new earth. We're going to be like kind of hanging out with people who are shining their lights and going to be at that higher vibrational frequency. And the hatred and the greed and the fear and the anger, all of that's going to stay as kind of the old paradigm. And I think eventually we'll just not see that anymore. Because, yeah, because we'll be surrounding ourselves with the people who can hold that higher vibration.
Mhm.
And I think that's what this, there's so many prophecies about what's happening with the Aquarian age. Astrology talks about the cycle that we're in. Human design talks about this new movement from one cycle to another and the dissolution of institutions that's going to come with that. Nostradamus, I mean, everything is pointing towards this evolution of human consciousness. And right now we're at the point of, oh, this is what that looks like. Maybe that's not exactly, what I was hoping it would be, all flowers and kumbaya. But
Exactly. I mean, we have a black president. Yay, I thought that's where we were.
well, that may have been the catalyst. But
Mhm.
one of my friends said we chose the catalyst timeline, and so it's really catalyzing us. And that this is a time for alchemy, and this is a time for us to really make our choices and who we're going to be, how we're going to live. And we do that by saying, what choice in this moment allows me to bring more light in the planet? It's pretty simple.
Yeah. And if we're clear on what we stand for as well, we can still hold that energy also,
Exactly.
rather than wasting the energy of being against something or anti something, because that's the fear energy again, isn't it?
It is. And well, what's the saying? What you resist persists. And so if you're fighting against that, you're dropping your frequency to that. instead of staying at a higher frequency and a higher consciousness and deciding what you'll let into your sphere, into your energy field. And that's a choice.
Hmm. I don't know if I've ever told you this, and I've never said it online, I don't think, but I think I actually did post about it the other day because it was the anniversary. Oh, pardon me.
Let's
Coming after 2016 election, I was distraught a bit. And I went to my energy worker, and she was just doing some work on me, and a lot of things happened. And I was on her table for 3 hours. She had nobody else that day. Just turned out that way. And so on the way home, I didn't want to jar myself by getting back on York Road and driving and, stop and go. So I meandered around. I was up in Cockeysville and I meandered around all these back roads I've never been on before. And what came up in that conversation a lot with her and what was coming through was I just need to keep shining my light. And so I'm coming up to a four-way stop in this neighborhood, this residential neighborhood where I'd never been before. And I see a panel truck in front of me. And I get up, it stopped there, nobody else around. And I stop behind the panel truck. And the name of the company was Spirit Electronics. And underneath it said, Shine Your Light.
exclamation point from the universe.
It was, and I just started because as soon as I pulled up behind that truck, he left or she left, and that popped up the other day because it'd been 8 years that I had posted that on Facebook. I said, I got some wisdom from a panel truck today. And it was just a cool reminder that, we do have that choice and we have the power to do it and not to be concerned about how bright we think our light is or not, right?
Exactly. And that's, going back to the lighthouse, it's like the ships will see the light. The ships that need to avoid the rocks will see it. And so the lighthouse isn't worrying about that. And I think sometimes we take on so much that we forget how powerful we really are.
Mhm.
And then we give away our power, then we're disempowered, then we think we're a victim, and we go down that rabbit hole until we can't even see our own light that's still shining inside of us, but we forget.
It is a pretty vicious cycle, isn't it?
Well, it can happen so easily
Yeah.
because we have plugins for that stuff. So we get, I like to say, if you're triggered, you're the one with the buttons that are getting pushed. So do something about those buttons that you have.
This came up in the interview I did right before this one, which Liz Gall-Lerner had written about the power of hope. And but it's been coming up a lot. I'm seeing a lot of people, posting about this. And boy, I just lost my thought. Where was I headed with that? Can you say what you just said again? Do you remember what you just because
Well, just that we go down these rabbit holes and we forget
yeah,
that
really.
we're powerful. So it may have been about hope.
But I'm seeing a lot of people talking about, oh, wow, it made such sense. It was dovetailing onto what you just said, and it made sense. But I don't know where I'm going to go with it now, so I'm not going to go anywhere with it. I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay.
I love something else that you wrote in the article about how it's not our job to, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly what you said. I just know it made sense to me at the time. I think what you're saying is not our job to decide who sees the light, to decide what they do with it, to decide whether they're worthy of it. Like if we shine our light, it goes where it goes, right? But I guess we need to let go of any expectation of outcome.
Yes, I think that's one of the important things that we can trap ourselves with our expectations. And we get to the place where we start to think that in our power, we have to do something to someone else or, do something in the world that I think we get ourselves confused because where I end and you start is a place where I have to allow you, I have to love you enough to do whatever you're choosing to do. I can't jump over the fence into your area and make you do something or make it different. And I can't judge. I mean, my mantra, as you've heard me say many times, everyone's doing the best they can with the resources they have at any given moment. And so when I embraced that decades ago, it really changed how I stopped judging people, and I honor everyone's path. Now, I don't let everyone be around me. I don't choose to be around everyone. As a matter of fact, I kind of stay away from crowds because the energy, there's too much. And but the point is, I'm not judging them as bad. I'm just saying your energy doesn't resonate, and so we don't get to be in the same space. And I think there's a difference between that and judging or jumping over and wanting them to be different. Because as soon as I want somebody to be different, I'm not in my own space anymore.
Oh, that's so true. And I remember years ago, I was wrestling with that a bit, and that the term discernment came up for me. And it's like I can be discerning about who gets into my space. And the difference for me between discernment and negative, like a negative judgment, is that they don't need to be different. They don't need to change. I'm discerning about what's right for me, but they can just keep on being them, you know? And that
Exactly.
took a big weight off me. It was like,
It's
oh,
very liberating, isn't it?
it really is. It really is.
But we forget that that's within our power.
Yeah.
And then we get into the shoulds.
Mhm.
And, just today I was talking to a client about the beliefs and the thoughts that we carry. If we forget to ask, is this really mine? Like I tell some clients, don't believe everything you believe. It's like, really, you have to examine those beliefs. And that what I see come up often, especially with women, is a belief that I should fill
Mm.
in the blank,
Yeah.
right? I should keep the peace. I should make everybody happy. I should put everybody else's needs ahead of mine. Um, I should love my neighbor as I love myself, but then we forget to love ourselves. Like, well, then you're not loving your neighbor very much if you don't love yourself, right? And so all those shoulds and the thoughts that we have, like I tell them too, don't believe every thought that comes into your mind is true. And so when we start asking, is this mine? Then we can actually ask, is this emotion mine? Or
Mm.
did I take somebody else's emotion in? And, am I really feeling this? And working through our feelings and separating them from somebody else's is actually a loving thing to do again. I'm going to let you have your emotions.
Mm. Wow. Yes. And I remember what I was going to say before.
Okay.
What I was seeing a number of people talking about, and what came up in my conversation with Liz today, is that it seems like many of us are stepping back and taking responsibility now to do more of our own work, rather than looking outside and going, well, if that was just work it out over here, because we are in a time of evolution. So I feel like there's times when I just get stopped, I kind of know. And so I thought it was time for me to pull back and to, who am I? Who am I being? Who am I here to be in
Ah,
this moment now? Who am I here to be? Yeah,
that's the question. Not what am I here to do,
right.
but who am I to be? And the human design talks about this shift in these cycles where we're actually moving from where the currency was material, money, greed, competitiveness, and we're moving into a cycle where it's more community, collaborative. The currency is well being. And we start to look at that, and it really does indicate a big shift. And so when we're supposed to be doing our internal work as we move and as we go through the shift. And I think that's what's coming up for everybody now. What is my work? I know the clients that I'm working with, even though they may be entrepreneurs looking to, build a business or grow their business or whatever, it's still the inner work that creates the outer success. It's, where I say working on yourself is working on your business. Because if you aren't doing that inner work, you're not taking the fullness of what you're here to provide to the world into whatever you're doing, whatever your work or career or business or family, your relationships. It's like, do the work. And then you can shine your light more brightly.
So true. That's the end result. Well, not the end result, but that is certainly the outpicturing of the work, isn't it?
It is.
Rosemary, how can our viewers find out more about you?
Well, the best thing to do, and I'm working on upgrading my website, but thescientificmystic.com is the website. And I would invite anyone who's interested in chatting with me about working with me to sign up for a complimentary discovery session, and we can talk about that. I also have, for somebody who's ready to get some support, and right now I know with what's going on, a lot of people could use it. I do offer a half-hour session on the website called a Beyond Quantum Reading. But that's the best place to go to get some information now.
Anything coming up you'd like to tell us about?
Well, I will be doing another conversation with the other side, and so the website will have an updated date for that. I just did one last week. And that's where we get information and guidance from angels, spirit guides, loved ones who've crossed over, a really small group, so that everybody gets a personal message that's guidance for these times. And I will in December, haven't picked a date yet, haven't been given the date yet, but I'm going to be doing a complimentary webinar called Tuning into 2025. So I'll actually be sharing something about the energies of 2025 and what's coming up. So all of those things, if you come in to the website, you can sign up and get on my newsletter. It comes out, usually it's around the full moon and the new moon. I'll probably put something out in the next day or so about Mercury retrograde, because that just started today.
Oh, I wasn't even aware. I've had to sand.
That's why I put out these moon letters, to let people know what's going on and to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And so the best thing to do is go to the website, check out my history, and sign up for the newsletter called the Moon Letter.
Well, it's worth it, y'all. I got, like I say, this article came out of reading Rosemary's newsletter, and you provide so much wisdom in that newsletter. Thank you so much for that. Did we decide you were going to read that excerpt? I think we did.
Yes.
Okay, so at the end of her article, Rosemary gave an excerpt from a book that she is apparently, the book sounds fascinating. Say a little bit about the book, and I'd like you to read that because I think it ties all this together in a really kind of neat little bow.
It does. Well, Sharon McMahon, who's a history teacher, government teacher, has written a book called The Small and the Mighty, 12 Unsung Americans Who Changed the Course of History from the Founding to the Civil Rights Movement. And the book is really great at what she talks about. She leads a group called the Governers. My daughter is in this group, and they basically study government. They read, they have a book club, they read books, she brings in the author of the books, and they can ask questions. Her group is so civic minded that she'll put out something like, hey, let's retire some medical debt. And they've retired, millions of dollars of medical debt, because people donate and then they buy up the medical debt and then forgive it. I mean, so it's that kind of energetic that I really applaud her for. But here's how she ends her book, The Small and the Mighty. I'd want you to know that there will come a moment in your life, a moment when you will be asked to choose. Will I retreat, or will I move forward with courage? You'll realize, just like the people in the pages of this book, that every experience you've had, every setback and heartbreak, every triumph and joy, will all be used. The character that you've been cultivating will be called upon. And when that moment comes, whenever it is, I hope you'll rise to it. I'd want you to know that for some of you, that moment is today. I'd want you to know that we are the ones we've been waiting for, the small and the mighty. And I think that's so great.
Yeah. I mean, that just, yeah, we've been given direction here.
I think so. So my direction to everyone who's listening is, may your light be the beacon that someone has been waiting for. Be the lighthouse and shine.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Rosemary. And please, if you want to read this article in the magazine, of course you want to read the article because we didn't touch everything that's in there. So go read the article in the magazine. That link is in the text of this video. Rosemary's links, they will be in the text of this video, linked to, Zoom only lets us put in so many words when we do it. I go in and edit it after. Rosemary's information will also be in the text of this video. So Rosemary, thank you for shining your light and sharing your light with all of us, and for your just wisdom. Your wisdom is just off the charts, always.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you so much. I'm so glad
Namaste.
something brought us together all these years ago.
All
And
these years ago, sharing that name Robertson.
exactly. So thank you again for being with us. Oh, I'll ask you this later. That's right. Okay, when we get off here. I don't want to ask you right now. But I want to thank anyone who's watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. For more information on the On Purpose Woman Global Community and magazine, you can go to my website, opwgc.com, which is in the text of this video. And for more information and interviews with women, with just amazing women, living their lives on purpose and sharing their unique gifts, you can go to our YouTube channel, also in the link of this video. Thanks for watching.